What's up, everyone, and welcome to ClearTalk. So, in this video today, we are going over the latest Epstein files. Or not specifically so much, but we're going to be talking about, in a general sense, about the Epstein files. And so, buckle up. It is crazy. It's crazy what's being released right now, and we haven't even got to like the shit that they are trying to hold back as long as possible. Um, yeah, thank you very much for joining me here. If you are new to Clear Talk, welcome. If you'd like to check out more videos from the channel, please do so. Consider subscribing, like, share, comment, all that good stuff to help get more videos in front of more people. If you'd like to check out videos from my other channels, JMDPLAY, there, puzzling. If you like what you see there, consider subscribing to those channels as well and help out those channels. If you want to give me kind of support, Patreon there, $3 a month. You can help support any of the channels you would like to help grow those channels, to help grow Patreon, help grow JMD Nation, and contribute however you would like. Any contribution or support you give is very much appreciated. And I thank you very, very much. And if you're returning, you're freaking amazing. You are amazing. Welcome back. Keep coming back. I will tell you that every time, because you are what makes JMD Nation. All right, so the Epstein files. So last Friday, the DOJ released the largest release that they have done so far, roughly like 3,000 files or so, from emails to pictures, videos, and this is a lot of information. It's so much information that I mean, it's taken a lot of there are some incredible internet sleuths out there that, you know, are taking the time to go through all these files and finding things in them. And it's so many files though that it's going to take a while even for those people to really go through them and pull out everything that can be found in these files. But what they have found though is just absolutely crazy. This ring that Epstein was a part of, that he created, that he involved himself. And this is some dark shit. This is some truly dark shit that, like, the far, like, right QAnon likes types that, you know, have this idea of this crazy cabal of people, elites and stuff that are, you know, into all kinds of crazy stuff and very much around children, even eating them and all kinds, like this is borderlining on that shit. And while they typically just say it's all the left, you know, it's a crazy cabal of like liberals and Democrats and it's all, you know, the Clintons and all this other stuff, you know, they're all involved in it. It's not right-wing people because, you know, we're the Christian people, we're the conservatives, and we're holy and all this. This is showing more like, yes, it is a string of elites and people connected in so many different ways. Some incriminating, some very much probably not. But like, this guy has such connections in such wild ways, in-depth connections, not even just, I mean, like, on an international stage with multiple countries and leaders, and the interactions and like engagements and things that he was setting up. I mean, it is crazy. And these connections allowed him to really go, I think, helped him go unnoticed in like the deep, dark underworld shit that he was doing for as long as he did. And it's just it is crazy. Now, like I said, a lot of the connections, a lot of people that can be named, or that are rather, I guess, are named to some degree in these files, do not necessarily mean that they have any type of corruption or like criminal crazy stuff connections to Epstein. Because a lot of people were just named a few times here and there, just in association or just whatever, like to like minimal degrees. But then you have others that are mentioned quite a bit more, hundreds of times. Those mentioned thousands of times. Um, Donald Trump. And like it is just it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot to take in. It's a lot to and this is just like this is arguably maybe only like half the files that has been released at this point. And for it to be as incriminating as it is, not only on just Epstein and the actions that he was taking, but like on what has been revealed as far as associations with certain people and interactions that they had with Epstein. To think of what is left that the DOJ is trying their best to hold on to as long as possible. That some have claimed would bring you nightmares. Okay. Like they are so dark that it would give a grown man nightmares. I mean, I can't. I mean, this is the kind of stuff Trump himself has stated. Trump himself has stated that he, is afraid of these coming out because they are going to hurt his friends. Like, although he is, in moments claimed that he was all for, let's release them, release them, but he has allowed the DOJ to hold and redact and be very, very weird on how they are releasing these files. And it is being brought up over and over and over again with every single release. Where we have, like, in the initial release of files that was kind of smaller, just over redaction of stuff, like things being completely redacted, nothing being really hardly released. I mean, except for what was apparently like what they were trying to be released, where they were putting a lot of stuff on Bill Clinton. They were trying to make it, put like, hey, look at this person. Don't look over here. Look at this person. This is who we want to. It was very much specifically like pathway of blame to one person or a few people, trying to make it clear that, hey, yeah, Trump's not the problem. You don't worry about Trump. These are who you need to worry about. And they were heavily redacted. To this time, there being this weird, like, release of files where things don't even seem to be redacted much at all. Like, some things are over redacted, but then other things are not redacted to the point that they should be redacted, to the point that they are releasing and revealing victims' names, which is the one key thing that the DOJ was saying that they were trying to protect, was the victims. And that's so that they had this team of people that they were putting, going over all these files, fine tooth comb, whatever, to make sure that no victims would be released and the protection of them. But yet when it comes out, not only is it that victims are being released and not protected, but actual suspects in this are being redacted and protected. And it's like, you're doing the exact opposite of what you should be doing. Or, like, it is pathetic at this point on the DOJ and how they're doing it. There are lawsuits now by victims, the lawyers of victims and stuff, to have this stuff removed, which the DOJ has had to turn around and pull some documents down because of the fact that they revealed stuff. Although, once it's out there, it's already fucking out there. I'm sure that there are people who have already gained access to it, and it's still out there, even though you've pulled it down. Yeah, you've limited the amount of people that have access to it, but it is absurd how the DOJ is going about this and how they're releasing stuff and what they are picking and choosing to redact. And clearly, to the point that even there are many files that are like replicated in the release to where it appears like multiple people were redacting on this, where like one person would over redact and another person would under redact. And so you would have things covered in one document, but then a copy of it somewhere else where it was not redacted and things were released. And in most of those cases, it was on actual victims. It is just, it's absurd. It's absolutely absurd. But these files go, even what is released is very, from videos that were released to pictures that were released, to email, personal emails of Epstein and the conversations, the code words that are being used. It was weird how there's some instances where he's having conversations with people where they almost seem like openly talking about what's going on, like they are not trying to hide it all. But then other emails where they are seemingly talking in code, using different code languages and stuff through food and other stuff, to kind of hide, quote unquote, what they're talking about. But then be like a wink, wink, nod at, only we would know what we're talking about. It is pretty wild, and bringing up a lot of conversation around things that we've seen and known from the past, where people, there was an infamous model from way back in like 2000, early 2000s, that made claims. She was on video making claims of that she had been to one of these parties, and and to the extent that she kind of knew that they were crazy parties or whatever, but then she's stating how she witnessed them like eating human fleshes. And there was emails in here that literally talk about where people are alleging seeing these actions being taken. And it is, I mean, to the degree of sexual exploitation of people in women, in young, underage, to the potential of like this weird cannibalistic like thing. I mean, it is disturbing how much is starting to be revealed about this world of Epstein. His mindset is being released more in these, about how, his view of humanity and of the world, and like a list of his favorite Bible verses and stuff, which are some of the wildest Bible verses in the Bible, which speak on more of like more in the Old Testament, where we have stuff like actions or commandments of killing, men and women and children, of those types of things, or taking pillaging of people, and acts of rape and stuff, sexual acts that were in the Old Testament on women and stuff. Like those were listed as some of his favorite verses of the Bible. Which just speaks to the mind in which he he did not have a view that people were equal whatsoever. He had a view that there were elite people and were in control of stuff, and they could do whatever they wanted, and everybody else was not of their status and were lesser people, and they could do, like, again, whatever they wanted to them. Sexual acts, murder, like torture. There were emails in there that literally where he's asking, "Hey, did you torture this person?" Like it was. This is the mindset. This was the mindset of Epstein. Underneath all the surface level dealings and business work that he was doing internationally with all kinds of people to like make himself look legit and have connections and all this stuff, like, and funding and or whatever, like that was that's how, and there's no telling how deep this actually goes. And it's the same. The crazy stuff for me, even thinking about that mindset, it's the same kind of mindset that's been spoken of when it comes to Donald Trump. That he thinks more of, like, there's these, people that are of elite status, wealthy, successful people in his opinion, and they are the higher hierarchy of humanity, and then everybody up underneath them is lesser humans. Like, this is the mindset of Trump himself as well. Very similar mindset. And this is how these people think. I'm going to go over real quick some of the people that have been mentioned, some of the big names that have come up in this release. I have a article here from NBC Los Angeles. Had put together a pretty good one. I think it's partially maybe from PBS, it looked like, and then some other maybe outlets they kind of put together. But you have Britain's Prince Andrews is in this one several hundred times in these documents, which he's connected to allegations from the late Virginia Roberts Goffrey, who was trafficked through Epstein and was apparently introduced to Andrews and instructed to have sex with him at the age of 17. She, of course, wound up dead later. Although Prince Andrews has denied, this happened. It looks more and more like there's a good chance that it actually did and that he was a part of it. There is picture in this release showing him kneeling over an unidentified woman on the floor, and although her face is redacted, it doesn't appear that she's like conscious. I mean, she could have been, but her kind of body language doesn't really seem that way. And he seems to be looking kind of worried in the picture. Among this correspondence is an invitation for Epstein to dine at Buckingham Palace. Epstein's offered to introduce Prince Andrews to a 26-year-old Russian woman, which could have been the woman in the picture. But yeah, even though he's repeatedly denied this, even his brother Charles III stripped him of all his royalty titles last year, and so he has been kind of scorned on this whole connection with Epstein. We're going to skip Donald Trump for a second. Bill Clinton, Like Trump, Clinton has spent time with Epstein more than 2 decades ago, flying occasionally on his private jet and seeing him on the White House. Clinton has denied any knowledge of Epstein's wrongdoings, but we have seen his pictures, even from the previous release. He had very close ties to Epstein through private, like I said, private jet stuff. It shows him in, you know, with Ghislaine and him in like robes and all. We've seen all the pictures. And Clinton representatives say that the former president broke off relationship with Epstein. The first round of criminal charges in 2006. The investigative files conclude snapshots of Clinton and other famous people that Epstein kept in his home in New York. It also contains messages investigators received from members of the general public demanding to know why Clinton wasn't being investigated. None of Epstein's victims have publicly accused Clinton of being involved in the crimes, though. But I mean, if there's any, like previous president, that I would, suspect probably had some dealings with Epstein, it probably would be Clinton. Elon Musk, the one that, when he had his little scuffle with Trump earlier this year, come out saying, the reason why you're not getting the Epstein files is because Trump is in those Epstein files. Well, apparently Elon Musk is as well. Although he claims, Musk has maintained that he repeatedly turned down the disgraced financier's overtures. Epstein tried to get me to go to the island and I refused. That was in a post in 2025 where he's claiming like Epstein tried to get him to come there in the past, but he refused. There are release files with email exchanges from 2012, 2013, where to me, and I actually saw those. It appears more like Elon was the one trying to or they were trying to work out scheduling for him to be able to come there. Like he was actually trying to go to the island. But because it appeared that because of like scheduling issues or whatever, it just wound up not coming to fruition, him actually going. Although, that's the way it kind of comes off. Like he was trying to go, but he ultimately couldn't schedule in actually going. But he is in there. He is listed. Howard Lutnick, the president, Donald Trump's commerce secretary, visited Epstein's private Caribbean island with his family on at least one occasion, according to the records. This appears to contradict prior statements where he claimed he cut ties with the disgraced financer, who he calls gross, decades ago. But emails show Lutnick and his wife accepted an invitation to Little St. James in the U.S. Virgin Islands in December of 2012 and planned to arrive by yacht with their children. The former chairman of New York, a major commercial real estate firm, also had drinks on occasion in 2011 with Epstein and coordinated with him about construction of a building across the street from both of their homes. Of course, the Commerce Department in a statement saying that Lutnick limited interactions with Mr. Epstein in the presence of his wife and has never been accused of wrongdoing. So yeah, even he's in there trying to go to one of, I'm assuming not the island, but like he was setting up stuff for vacations or whatever to private islands or whatnot. I don't know. Even though he made previous claims that he had cut ties and like he didn't, have any major connections, there was clear that he did. I mean, even though there's nothing to show that it was a part of any kind of crime or nothing. Brett Ratner, that film director that had those sexual allegations in 2017, the one that directed Melania that we just talked about in another video. He's popped up in the files. One, first released in December, shows him with his arm wrapped around the shirtless torso of Jean-Luc Brunel, a French modeling agent who killed himself in jail in 2022 while awaiting trial on rape charges. The more recent document release has a sequence of other photos apparently taken around the same time. Some show Ratner sitting on a couch with Epstein, Brunel, and at least two younger women. In the photo, Ratner has his arms wrapped around one of the women whose faces is blacked out. Yeah, I mean, dude, this guy, he clearly had connections. He's had the allegations of sexual misconduct. I think some of them around sets and stuff of movies and other things. But yet, this is the guy that there was no other choice. Remember, if you watched the video, there was no one else even considered to film and direct Melania's documentary but this guy. Again, you know a person by the company they keep. Okay. Sarah Ferguson, which is the ex-wife of Prince Andrews, she made a public apology for letting Epstein pay off her debts. Had come to some tremendous public scrutiny for continuing to a friendly relationship with Epstein after he pleaded guilty to soliciting prostitution of an underage girl. She told London's Evening Standard newspaper she would have nothing ever to do with Jeffrey Epstein ever again. But just 2 months later, she emailed Epstein to say she was going on Oprah Winfrey's TV show and wanted his advice on how she should answer questions about their relationship. I just want to make sure you are aware of this and seek your advice on how you would like me to answer, Ferguson wrote. Epstein replied, Jeffrey was unfairly characterized as a pedophile by the tabloid press. Many years ago, Jeffrey pleaded guilty soliciting underage prostitutes. He paid his debt to society and has sought forgiveness. I have nothing more to say. Which is a weird thing to answer back to, almost in third person, as if this isn't really Jeffrey, but yet at the end, I have nothing more to say. It's kind of odd. But yeah, nevertheless, saying that she would never have anything more to do with them, but then 2 months later, emailing him, questioning how she should address the answer if brought up by Oprah on their relationship. Richard Branson, the billionaire founder of Virgin Group. Of course, we've seen his pictures and stuff in there, even though he claims that, it's just like everybody else. He claims that he knew nothing of what was going on, and his relationship was before all the allegations and stuff come out, and blah, 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 blah. He was a part of it. Steve Bannon. This dude, Steve, he is like super, super buddy with Epstein. Like, there are all kinds of pictures with him and Epstein. All kinds of texts between him. Like, they were texting all the freaking time. He was the one that was trying to help rebrand Epstein, to try to fix his image and help, or like recreate his image after all the allegations. Like, this dude has a hard-on for trying to rehabilitate Epstein, and his and everything associated to him. It is wild how much his connections are in these files. Steve Tisch, the New York Giants co-owner, is mentioned more than 400 times in the files released Friday. Correspondence between two shows Epstein offered to connect Tisch to numerous women over the years. In one 2013 email exchange with the subject line Ukrainian girl, Epstein encouraged Tisch to contact a particular woman whose physical beauty he praised in crude terms, pro or civilian. Tisch asked in reply, like, asking whether or not they were like a pro kind of like booker, like I guess you could say, someone who's does this for a living, or if it's just a regular civilian, just somebody who's basically trafficking. I mean, Tish, a scion of a powerful New York family that founded the Louis, I don't know, corporation, was acknowledged knowing Epstein, but denied ever going to his infamous Caribbean island. We had a brief association where we exchanged emails about adult women, and in addition, we discussed movies, philanthropy, and investments, said Tish, who also won an Academy Award in 2014 for producing Forrest Gump. As we all know, he is a terrible person and someone I deeply regret associating with. Do you? Do you? Casey Wasserman, the president of the committee for the 2024 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles, exchanged flirty emails with Epstein confidant Ghislaine Maxwell in the documents. In 2003 exchange, he wrote to Maxwell, "I think of you all the time. So what do I have to do to see you in a tight leather outfit?" Whew. Whew. Risque. In another, Maxwell asked whether it will be foggy enough during an upcoming visit, quote, so that you can float naked down the beach and no one can see you unless they are close up. Woo. Wasserman released a statement on Saturday saying he never had a personal or business relationship with Epstein and that he regretted the correspondence with Maxwell, which he said came long before her horrific crimes came to light. But yet you didn't know. You had all this connection. You were visiting with her, who knows where, and probably Epstein himself, because, I mean, where she was, he more than likely was as well. Come on. Ehud Barak, the former Israeli prime minister, and his wife turned up frequently in the documents on Friday, showing they stayed in regular contact with Epstein for years, including well after his 2008 guilty plea of sex crimes in Florida. Among the correspondence are plans for a 2017 stay at Epstein's New York residence. Other missive discuss mundane logistics for other visits, meetings, and phone calls with Epstein. Barak was acknowledged regularly visiting Epstein on his trips to New York and flying in his private plane, but maintains he never observed any inappropriate behavior or parties. He served as Israel's prime minister from 1999 to 2001 and later served as his defense minister. So, this is because, Epstein is Jewish. He has very hard ties with Israel, potentially with Mossad, along with several other countries. He has ties to the EAU. Apparently even ties to Russia. All over the place. Larry Summers, Clinton's former Secretary of Treasury and the one-time president of Harvard University, is another of Epstein's well-known longtime acquaintances. The new documents are full of references of meetings, dinners between the two. A previously released trove of documents shows Summers emailing Epstein in 2019 after the financier had been charged with sexual abuse of minors to discuss his interactions with a woman, writing, "He told her, 'Awfully coy you are.' Epstein replied, 'You reacted well.' Summers was calling his interactions with Epstein a major error in judgment." You don't say. You don't say. Maybe you are a major error of judgment. Sergey Brin, the billionaire Google co-founder, made plans to meet Epstein and Maxwell at his townhouse in New York years before he was publicly accused of sexual abusing underage girls. Emails show in one exchange in 2003, Maxwell invited him to join her in a screening of the Renee Zellweger film Down with Love in New York. She followed up a few weeks later, inviting him to happily casual and relaxed dinner at Epstein's house. Brin offered to bring along Google's then CEO, Eric Schmidt. Spokesperson for Google didn't immediately respond to emails seeking comment on Saturday. So, yeah, there's that. And then Miroslav Lajčák, I don't know, a national security advisor to the Slovakian Prime Minister, Lajčák, whatever, Lajčák, maybe, I don't know, resigned Saturday after his past communications with Epstein. I can't, I'm screwing up all this. Appeared in Friday's document release. Opposition parties and a nationalist partner in Fico's governing coalition had called for him to step down. The former Slovak foreign minister and a one-time president in the UN General Assembly has not been accused of any wrongdoing, but was photographed meeting with Epstein in the years between his initial release from jail and his subsequent indictment in 2019 on sex trafficking charges. He said he corresponded with Epstein were part of his diplomatic duties. Okay, so you have all of these people who are, big time, well known, in the spotlight, leaders and connected people, all these people who are in these files and have connections, some of which many of which have had some sort of allegations brought on them to some degree around sexual exploitation or sexual conduct, whether it's with, adult women or even some with underage women. We have all these people, and I don't feel like there's any kind of degree where people are going, and those people are guilty, and because they're associated, because Epstein and blah, 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 blah. But when it comes to Donald Trump, though, and the fact that he is, even in these files released, he is referenced more than any of these people, any of these that we just talked about, and many more. He is spoken about thousands and thousands of times in these documents, in Epstein's files, personal emails, where he's either most of the time just referencing about Donald Trump, but it's this weird thing where it's like Epstein would be talking about people, and not just Donald Trump, but anybody really. He would be talking and having conversations with other people about other people. And it's like, where sometimes he was talking in weird ways about him in code language or something, or talking like they're buddies or something, or like the association that he would have with them, but yet he would kind of in a weird way give these truths about them, or his true feelings about them. And Donald Trump was one of those main people that he did this with, where it's like he even had this sense of Donald Trump where he didn't believe even the stuff that Donald Trump would say or would claim that he was doing. But yet also to the extent that he wasn't completely surprised if it was true. It's just a weird thing that I've seen about where Donald Trump was brought up in these emails by Epstein. One of which was even referring to where Donald Trump apparently Epstein was claiming that Donald Trump was telling him that he was at Mar-a-Lago or something, and Melania was not there. She was somewhere else. But Nikki Haley was there. And making this allegation that or claim, I guess you could say rather, that Nikki Haley was like having sexual relations like with him, like oral stuff on Trump. And he was telling Epstein this, and Epstein was like bringing that into question. Like he says this is happening, but it's Trump, so he could be lying. Like, this is the admission of Epstein. I mean, things like that. Like, it is very, very odd. And there are, of course, there was a whole list of allegations that come out, where from the FBI, like people that have called into the FBI or made allegations on Donald Trump, many of which were underage, or stating that when the incident happened, it was underage, which of course the FBI is claiming under the leadership of Donald Trump, is claiming that these things were that there was no proof to any of the claims, and that there was no reasonable legitimacy to them, basically just bringing doubt on all the claims, even though, and it's multiple claims of somebody at the age of 13 or 14 was forced to, give him oral sex, things like that. I mean, there was multiple allegations of sexual content with minors, and also like regular, adult women, but against Trump. And it's like, we believe all these other people have these associations, and that they are somehow connected, even in the most minuscule way, that there's a very good chance that they were a part of this, even if it was just once or twice, or whatever the case. Like, there's connection there, and these people have allegations against them. But yet, for some reason, when it comes to Trump, we're just expected to not believe it, that he is just completely innocent of all of this, when he is in these documents more than anybody else. And all the allegations that have been brought upon Donald Trump over the years, multiple. He's even been convicted of sexual harassment and stuff against, Jean Carroll. It's actually, in New York. That's actual been, in a civil case. He has literally been found convicted on that. But yet we are supposed to pretend or accept when Donald Trump says, I had nothing to do with that. I had nothing to do. I never went to the island. I hated Epstein. We didn't get along with. But yet we see all the videos of him just flamboyantly, like, in conversation with Epstein, laughing, look at videos of him with Epstein and multiple other people, little kids there dancing around. Like, there's no way at this point that you should look at these documents and not be calling for not even all of them to be released, but like a deep investigation being done on the connections from Donald Trump, along with all these other people. Like, it's not like I'm sitting here arguing that solely Donald Trump needs to be. No, every fucking one of these. There needs to be a full line. Like, Congress has asked for these files to be released to them unredacted, so that they can actually comb through them, for one, to make sure that the redactions that have been done up to this point were fitting the legal argument that they have already requested of the DOJ. But also, like, they should have access to this so that they can make sure that the DOJ is doing their job, in my opinion, and not holding back for political reasons to protect Donald Trump or anybody else for that matter that is associated to Donald Trump or that Donald Trump wants to help protect. I mean, there's even a potential email. There's an email in there that potentially, when it has been connected, the dots have been connected to where someone is being stated as where Jeffrey Epstein is conversating with somebody about a particular incident with some young girls or women or whatever, and it potentially very well could have been Netanyahu. This is what I'm talking about, because the person is redacted. It's redacted who it was, but in their reply to Epstein is stating, because Epstein is asking him whether or not he could be somewhere or something at some point for something. And he's basically saying, well, I'm in China right now, and in 2 weeks I'll be in the U.S. And this is back in like the early 2000s. And people have made the connection in dots where it lines up that Netanyahu was in China at that point, and then 2 weeks later he was in the U.S. I mean, it's just calling out, like, maybe this is who we're talking about here. But the mere fact that was redacted, whoever that was, this is not a victim. This is not a victim, but this name was redacted. And this is over and over and over and over again, where email names between Epstein and individuals were redacted. These are not victims. Why are you redacting? No, you're protecting these people that you want to defend and keep from potential criminal indictments. And that's that. The DOJ is hiding. The DOJ is hiding information. And like I said, we've only got maybe half of the files at this point. And Trump is the most named in the files. Files that they have been trying to hide, trying to protect, trying to keep. And he states, oh, this is, see, we released these and this exonerates me. No, it doesn't, actually. It doesn't in any way. And it brings into question all of the files that they have yet to release that they are trying so desperately to hold on to. What is in those? The pages and pages and pages that have been released that are redacted. Images that are redacted. And like I said, I like completely redacted. Aren't even scanned in. That could be potentially like major sex crimes, or even darker than that, from information that we are now starting to see. It's wild. And this is stuff that's been going on now for decades. These files have potential connections of not only those type of actions, but even just the interactions of some like business dealings and stuff between people and companies or whatever. going back to the early 2000s, the late 90s. That, could be considered corrupt or fraudulent. There's more and more people being connected. And the people that we already know are connected are being shown as being even more connected. Donald Trump being the biggest of them. Yet, these people are consistently being protected by this administration, or at least some of them. And that's the scary part. It's like what they have, again, what they have released is this crazy. The scary part is still what they haven't released. And why they're not releasing them. If you're not questioning that at this point, why are they redacting actual suspects, actual co-conspirators in this, while not protecting? Why are they protecting them while obviously not protecting actual victims? If you are still defending these files, if you're defending Trump, if you're defending any of these people listed in here that, seem to have clear co-conspirator type vibes in this, again, you are a part of the problem. You are a horrible human being. A lack of morality, a lack of compassion and understanding for regular people, a lack of empathy for victims of this type of stuff. You're protecting sexual predators. You're protecting sex traffickers. Even potentially protecting murderers. Torturers. And at this point, maybe even cannibalists. I mean, this shit's getting dark. This shit is getting dark. And while Trump makes the claims that, he had a fallout with Epstein and that they parted ways, you have to bring into question what really happened there. What the real truth of that is. Maybe there was something that Trump come across that even he couldn't stomach. I don't know. Or maybe it was the other way around. Because there are even emails in these documents where even that that was videos and stuff shared to Jeffrey Epstein in forwarding even Maxwell, where even they are like, whoa, that is a bit much. I can't even stomach that. These we're talking about two people who are in a whole like cabal, like trafficking ring with individuals of doing all kinds of acts and stuff, but yet even they apparently have some kind of red line. I'm just saying, maybe Epstein was the one that had a red line with Trump. I don't know. Or maybe he got one over on him and was like, I can't trust this guy. I mean, he clearly didn't believe him. And when it's when people like this get in a grouping, they're friends, and then suddenly something falls out. That's honestly when a lot of the truths about how people feel about people come out, right? And it very well seemed like whenever this fallout happened, and even to some degree, maybe even before, Epstein was clearly starting to reveal some truths about Donald Trump. Even if it was out of spite. He didn't come across as someone, when you look at all these emails, he didn't come across as somebody who was just like making some shit up about people. They seemed quite honest about all the stuff that they're talking about. So when he is mentioning Trump, I don't think he's just making shit up. That's the key thing there. Is that there most certainly seems to be some truth, a sense of truth in what he's saying, an honesty there. Because that's the one thing I could say that Epstein doesn't seem to be, when looking at this stuff, is like a dishonest person. When it comes to these personal emails, he seems to be quite honest in them. Whether it's blatant or like code, but he's still honest. Let me know what you think. This videos went long enough. This is crazy. It's crazy time. And again, like everybody listed, especially to the degree of there's something there. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And the more times you're named in these, the more times there's a likelihood that you're guilty. Till next time, peace, clear talk. I'm out.